Good morning, good evening, good day, and welcome to Drama Buds. I'm Francine. I really love K-dramas, and I'm going to spend as much time as I want talking about them. Welcome to my podcast. So, hello everyone. On today's episode, we have a new segment. I think I call it segments. So I mentioned in my recap episode last week that I really can't watch K-dramas as much as I did before. It's like, most of my episodes this year, I just watched them, you know, in the past 2 months and, rapidly wrote an episode and recorded it. And I had all the time in the world to do that. But I do not anymore. And like, of course, I can finish a K drama by, watching it in 1.5 or 2 times speed and keep it in the on the background and stuff and not really pay attention to it. Like, yeah, I can finish shows, but like, that wouldn't give me enough material to create like my usual 45 minutes to an hour long episode. And I just, if I cannot deliver what I usually deliver, I would rather not. I do not deliver subpar. I don't do things subpar, okay? So, yeah, I would rather just figure out some other thing I can talk about while I'm looking for a show that really captures my attention and, makes me want to sit down and finish a show as soon as I can so that I can just process everything and then write and record an episode and just release it. Like, I haven't found a show that, captured me the way, say, Live did. That I finished it. I was just hooked on the very first episode and then I finished it in 3 days because I had the 3 days. I don't have 3 days, to watch K-dramas anymore. So, well, I digress. We're switching it up. Okay, so new segment. As you saw in the title, Ask Me Anything. To be honest, no one is asking me anything. I'm asking myself these things. But like the point is I just want to talk about, things in general, questions in general about like my viewing experience. And so this is probably a lot less scripted or planned out. Like, yeah, I have, a sort of outline of what I want to talk about, but it's not as like in depth as my usual stuff because of course in my recaps I have to, take note of names and like what I really liked about this. And now I'm just kind of going through whatever whatever I think I should talk about, and we'll see where that goes. Okay, so question for today. How do I judge K-dramas? If you have not noticed, I'm a very opinionated person. I believe that I should have an opinion on everything. And if I don't have an opinion on something, that must really mean I didn't like it. Or like I didn't even, like the opposite of love is apathy, right? Not hate. It's like if I didn't feel anything about the show, or if I didn't even think about what I was watching, then I must, damn, that must really suck. Because I have opinions on everything, even things I hate. Like, I just have very intense opinions most of the time. If you're in the middle, that's the worst place to be. I'd much rather really love or really hate something than just like not feel anything about it. And so like, yeah, as I mentioned, I just have a lot of opinions. And like, how do I keep track of those opinions? How do I keep track of what I've watched, what I like about it, what I don't like about it? I mean, as of now, I have watched, wait, let me go through my list. I have watched 52 shows, okay? Um in a year. I've only been watching K-dramas in a year. Let's say I finished one K-drama per week. That's just how fast I've gone through these. And like most of them I've reviewed, some of them I haven't. But how do I know what I feel about those I haven't reviewed because I don't have like an outline or an episode where I can go back and kind of relive, the experience of watching it and my opinions on it. And like, essentially, yeah, also like, how do I judge K dramas? And like, where are these opinions coming from? Really? How do I say that I like something or I dislike something? Like, how do I say that a K drama is worth talking about, worth recommending, or worth avoiding like the plague? Like some shows I will talk about. You know, and so I have I have a spreadsheet. Yeah, I shared it publicly at some point, but I don't know if that's still out there in the world. But I have a spreadsheet, and today I'm just going to go through the spreadsheet and kind of like, if this were a Zoom class, I could be sharing my screen and showing you what's on the spreadsheet. But that would, mean exposing all my opinions publicly. And let's just say some opinions will remain in the sheet and not in this podcast. Because I haven't gotten attacked, but this may be the day. So I'm just essentially going to go through my spreadsheet. That's it. That's it. Pretty boring. But hey, no. I'll always share some of the opinions that I believe are safe for for the internet, for people to hear. Okay, so the first sheet. Wait, a first sheet in my Google Sheets. It's just like the full list of shows I watched. The drama, the year it was released, the month, the year and the month I watched it, and then directors and writers. Pretty straightforward. I based this off Asian Wiki. Essentially, Asian Wiki is my life. Um, what do I say about this? Yeah. Basically, it helps me keep track of like, oh, how many works of this director, this writer have I watched? I also take note of like which ones I've already reviewed and stuff, so that I know. um, and it's chronological. Like I can sort it, but I tend to not sort it so that I can add shows as I watch them and like keep it chronological based on which ones I've watched first. Yeah, that's pretty boring. Okay, let's move on to the criteria sheet. So, what are the criteria? Like, okay, what basically I list down all the shows I've watched and then I judge it on four criteria. But like there isn't a total that says like, okay, so this is good if it meets like 3 yeses out of 4, it's good. Like no. It's really just judged per criterion. Because yeah, I could say something had a really strong emotional impact on me, but I wouldn't consider it a general recommendation. Does that mean it's bad? Or something is not mostly positive? Like there are a lot of technical problems in it, but it had a great emotional impact on me. That doesn't affect, and it doesn't affect like, would I recommend this to people? So does that mean it's bad just because it's technically bad, even if I was emotionally invested and I would recommend it to people? My point is they're just separate categories. Getting 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 doesn't necessarily mean it's an immediate favorite, ultimate top tier drama for me. Like sometimes it just checks all the boxes, but it's different. Okay, whatever. Let's move on. Okay, so first criterion, mostly positive. I mentioned this earlier. What I'm talking about, like a K drama is mostly positive. It's usually like the technical aspect, the directing, the cinematography, the music, the writing. Writing should be a technical thing, but like, for me, the heart and soul of a show is the writing. So, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, writing should be part of that. Like if I say something is mostly positive, I didn't put like good or great directing, great cinematography, great music. No, I didn't say that. I just said like mostly positive because there isn't anything glaringly bad about it. Some shows have okay, let's go through it. Okay, so some shows that are not mostly positive. Okay, I forgot to mention this, but I judge it based on yes, no, and yes with reservations. Um, when it's yes with reservations, usually it's like, yeah, except for this. And it's really pretty, I have to explain it. Usually I explain those. Like, I also have a separate column beside each criterion, like yes, no, with reservations. And then there's a why. So like sometimes I explain why I gave this rating to it. But I don't always do that. And right now I don't because I'm too lazy. But yes, usually if it's with reservations, I explain it because like I have to understand. I have to remind myself why I didn't just say immediately yes or immediately no. So let's go to the ones that are not mostly positive. Another Miss O. Okay, I didn't put anything here because it's a no, but another Miss O, although it's a yes in emotional investment slash impact. Oh no, it's not. No, I was looking at the wrong row. There's a yes. There's one yes, an extremely positive aspect, but like the rest is no. And it's not mostly positive because, half of the time I wasn't even tuning. I was barely watching. It was a pain. It was a pain to watch that show. It's like, oh my goodness, are you seriously telling me we're only in episode 8 out of 18? This was supposed to be 16 episodes, but then they made it 18 for what? What was this story? Where was the story even going? It needed another 2 episodes to drag out this stupid love line. I mean, I'll explain the only yes that this show got later. But like, okay, another show. I couldn't wrap that up. Another show that got a no in mostly positive is something that's fun to talk about. Cheese in the Trap. Even though it looks pretty nice for its time, and the music is nice, but the writing was a mess. I read, okay, before we even finished the show, around episode 15, I was Team Jong, guys. I am solidly Team Jong, even though he's, manipulative. He's messed up a little bit. I'm not Team Jong necessarily because he's an angel, but maybe because I just don't like Baek In Ho. Okay, see, there are a lot of shows I watch that I haven't talked about, and I do have strong opinions on them. One day I'll talk about Cheese in the Trap. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the writing. Remember, oh, wait, no, I was talking about the webtoon. I read the webtoon just to know how it was really supposed to end. It was really well done. And the whole progression of the relationship and their character development was really good. So tell me why Jong vanished in like the second half of the show. And it was just like the Baek In Ho show. Tell me, writer who has never appeared ever again because they messed this show up. Um, I don't know. I heard there was some behind the scenes drama, which explains why Jong and Park Hae-jin vanished. But yeah, it was a mess. So even if there were some good aspects to it, and yes, I was emotionally invested and all that, it was just not mostly positive for me. The experience and like the technical aspect of it. Next, something that's fun to talk about. Something that I haven't brought up before. Chicago typewriter. Okay. This one is probably a lot of people love this show because here it got a yes with reservations in extremely positive aspect. I'll talk about that later. But no in everything else. Like I was not emotionally invested. I wouldn't recommend it to others. And yeah, I wouldn't say that it's mostly positive. One, this is the first show I ever watched in 1.5 times speed. Yes. And I don't know. The annoying thing is that people said so many good things about it. And like, I just couldn't get into it. Like, I couldn't get into the main characters. I couldn't get into their love line. And like, when people, the mind blowing, penultimate episode where everything was essentially a flashback, like all the flashbacks in the previous episodes kind of built up to create the full story of what happened to them in the occupation era. I hope I got that right. It just wasn't as mind-blowing fantastic to me. It kind of felt like, are you seriously telling me you withheld the entire story until episode 15 just to create this big twist, and then it still wasn't so satisfactory to me? It's like, okay, we get it. They, in their past lives, yeah, they were all together. And like, it was sad, everything that happened to them, but I don't know. And like, the fact that there was a love line, I think this is a show that would have done well without the love line. I don't know. I don't know about you. Maybe I just saw no chemistry whatsoever. But oh, whatever. So I I just I don't I know that others would say mostly positive things about it, but I didn't feel that. So no, sorry. I just didn't like it. Maybe I'll rewatch it because I feel like I didn't appreciate it. And of course, I watched it in 1.5 times speed because it was a required show for us to watch in class. Um, and like, okay, at that point, I really just wanted to watch Missing because people were saying so many good things about it. And they were right. They were so right about all the good things they said about Missing. So, so yeah, maybe I'll revisit Chicago Typewriter. But whatever. Okay, sorry. I spent too long on this. Okay, next criterion. Emotional investment slash impact. How do I describe this? Basically, did I watch it without feeling anything in particular? So that's a no. If I didn't feel anything, it's a no. If I felt something, or if I was really like interested in what would happen to them, what was this foreshadowing, and that person in the background, and this and that, like, if I cared enough to want to know what was in the next episode or what was going to happen at the end, like, that's a yes. However, not all yeses are positive. Some of these got a yes, but I was not emotionally invested, or the emotional impact on me was not in a positive manner. Oh wait, let me go through. Let me go through some of this. Well, of course, Startup. I think Startup is the perfect show to explain why this is not always a positive thing. It got a yes. I was definitely emotionally invested and impacted on. It had an impact on me, yes, but for all the wrong reasons. All the late nights, the many screenshots, the angry, sharing of tweets and Reddit posts to my sister. Hello to my sister. You're probably listening to this. If you don't know what happened, just listen to our podcasts. Episode 5. Startup, the impact of the show. It's the worst. I did If I could take back the two months that I spent on this show just being angry. If I could do it, I would do it. Okay, I would take back those 2 months and be a peaceful human being, living my life. I wish I could take it back. Okay, so that's the only one with like kind of a unique case. Next criterion, general recommendation. Pretty self-explanatory. Like a show that's easy for like newbies to get into. It doesn't require a lot of knowledge about, K-dramas, K-pop, variety. Doesn't require like deep understanding of Korean culture or anything. Like, if you are just watching K-dramas for the sake of watching a show, then this is a pretty decent show. There. I don't know. what are interesting ones here? Oh, here. The producers. It got a no from me, even though I like it, even though it's funny. Because yeah, once I said what I said, what I said before. It requires a lot of like knowledge on K-pop, K-variety, and K-dramas, and it's just like for a very niche audience, which is why they toned it down, like all the references and stuff. Like they just focused on telling a basic K-drama story towards, after the first few episodes of the show, because probably the reception wasn't too good. But even though I liked it, even though, yes, it's mostly positive, yes, it had an emotional impact on me, yes, there's something extremely positive about it. It got a no in the general recommendations because yeah, I can't make someone go through that if they don't understand what people are even talking about. Things that got a no from me. Sometimes, oh well, I'll explain some of these later. So yeah. Yeah, essentially you get it. If a newbie, if a complete muggle probably would not enjoy it, then it's not a general recommendation. Next, last criterion actually, extremely positive aspect. And this is the one that's super subjective. Like this is just me. There's something about it that I was just like, damn, this is really, really good. And some of these I'll explain later, so I won't go through them. But like this is the completely subjective part. It's like this is really just me. What did I really, 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 really like about this show? Whether or not I really like the show. You get the point. Like sometimes I wouldn't consider it mostly positive, or there was not much of an impact on me, or I wouldn't recommend it to others. But there's something really, really good about it that I can acknowledge even if I don't like, the rest, anything else about it. Okay. So, I'll just go through the shows that got like a full yes, as in yes, I would say mostly positive things. Yes, it had an emotional impact on me, or I was invested in it. Yes, I would recommend it to others easily, and yes, there's something extremely positive about it. Okay, you'll recognize some of these titles. Obviously, 18 again, Arthville Chronicles, Be Melodramatic, Doctor Romantic 2, not 1, Hi Bye Mama, Hospital Playlist, Hot Stove League, Hyena, It's Okay to Not Be Okay, Missing, obviously, Mr. Sunshine, Prison Playbook, Sky Castle, Stranger 1 and 2, The Uncanny Counter, The World of the Married. So, if you go through that list, you'll realize that, just because it got a full yes doesn't mean I, felt enough or felt compelled to talk about it or make a podcast episode on it, right? Also, you'll also notice that some of my ultimate favorites did not get a full yes. So, do you see, like, just because it's not a perfect, ticks all the boxes kind of show for me, that doesn't mean I didn't like it or that it didn't really have an impact on me, or you know so I'll go through the ones with reservations that are kind of interesting, and some of these are the shows that I reviewed, so like you'll understand why I wouldn't give it a full yes even if I loved it so much. Okay, so first show I want to talk about is Do You Like Brahms? And I said yes with reservations to general recommendation because it might be too slow for some people. Like I loved it, I loved the message, I love the characters, but I knew immediately from the first 2 3 episodes that a lot of people would consider this very, very slow. Like, what are they even doing? Why are they barely talking to each other? They barely even saw each other in this episode. Like, what is this show really trying to do? Is it's romance, but it seems like it's moving so slowly. Um, yeah, and like the tone of the show, not just the pacing of like the events, but the tone of the show is very slow. So I love it. I would recommend it, but general recommendation, nah, not to someone who hasn't watched a lot of K dramas or like I know they've watched a very slow show before, so they'll probably understand and appreciate the tone and the pacing of the show. So, next show, Doctor Romantic 1. I gave it yes with reservations in mostly positive because it's kind of ugly, like the cinematography, and like I hate the main lead, so that's a writing thing. I also gave it yes with reservations in emotional investment. Because I only got invested in the show after watching season 2. So, I went back to watch season 1. So, um yeah, I was only invested when I fixed my viewing lens, when I understood what was going to happen next, and I came back to season 1 because I was curious of like, wait, how did this happen in season 2? Like, what set this off? So I had to go back to clarify those things. But in general, as I was watching season 1 for the first time, I really wasn't invested. Next show, Hush. Reservations in emotional investment. Because I liked some parts so much. Like the relationship of the reporters with each other and their families, and like, the first 4 episodes of the show, essentially, I was really into it. And then I was completely apathetic to the rest of the show, to the plot of the show, that it was like force feeding to me, telling me that I have to care about this stupid conspiracy when I really don't. And it was just so boring and stuff. So there. Next show, It's Okay, That's Love. You know how much I love this show. Is it in my top 4? Yeah. It's in my top 5 of last year. I loved it so much, but I really would not recommend it to everyone. I think it's only for those who are comfortable with discussing mental illnesses and sex. Yeah, they talk about sex a lot in that show. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. And like, some people watch K dramas because like the overly sexual stuff, on Western shows are kind of just uncomfortable, and like you get tired of it and you realize like, do people really act like that? In most, in dangerous situations, like, are you really thinking about kissing or jumping someone? I don't know. But I'm not saying It's Okay, That's Love is like that, but they're very comfortable with discussing it, which once again was a plus for me in a way after a while. But as a general recommendation for someone who knows certain things about K dramas and expects certain things, they might be taken aback by this. Next show, Scarlet Heart. You know which part I had reservations about. It's not mostly positive, okay? Like, it's badly directed and badly shot. And some scenes are so cringy, and just the writing sometimes in itself is a mess, but like the plot, the pacing, it's just intense all the time. Um it's yeah. So I really, really like the pacing of the show, like how quickly it moved, and how, there was no time to be bored. There was no space, no time to be bored. Like, you have to keep going because the story keeps going there. So yeah, on a technical aspect, like visually and stuff, terrible. But like the music also is extremely positive. So that's a technical aspect that kind of, you know, just the show. It's just a lot of bad, but also a lot of good. Scarlet Heart. It's a mess, but I love it. And last show, Signal. Yes, with reservations to emotional investment. I cared a lot about Kim Yesu's character, like so much. But Lee Jae-hoon's character to me was kind of like, what's his name? Jinwoo. Jinwoo from Life, or Kang Dong-ju from Doctor Romantic 1. It's just like one of those male protagonists who try to instigate trouble, to expose things, like, I mean, and like they're just defiant and stuff, and they tend to not build like a great relationship with the mentor type person, or the person of higher authority that's also protagonist. Like, pretty much in Life, Doctor Romantic 1, and in Signal, that's kind of how that's pretty common dynamic among the three. So yeah, Kim Yesu's character I was invested in. The cases were pretty interesting as well, and like I guess I cared about the time travel, or like the talking, you know, through the walkie-talkie across time periods. It was cool. Great concept. I was invested. I wanted to know what was going on, but like the main protagonist is one of those protagonists that I just don't like. So, yeah. Okay. I want to talk about the extremely positive aspects. Because yeah, I want to explain why this got a yes, or a yes with reservations in some shows. Okay, so extremely positive aspect of Another Miss O. It was mostly no, right? I mentioned that earlier, but yes in EPA. I got lazy to write it in the aspect because of So Yujin's acting. Like she really is the queen of rom-coms for me. Like her acting is so natural and, organic. It's the same word. But because of how she acts, like it's so believable. No matter how stupid Oh Young is, like no matter how stupidly in love she is and how annoying she is at times, like when she feels things, you feel for her. Because So Yoon Jin is really good at crying, at like delivering lines, and she's good at, creating chemistry. I don't know if it's Eric Moon or if it's her or if it's both of them, but it's probably really her and him. I'm not too sure. But hey, So Yoon Jin had chemistry with Yoo Yoon Sok. She had chemistry with Eric Moon. I haven't watched The Beauty Inside. I'll think about watching that someday. I probably will. But I really love her. She's my rom-com queen. I would watch Let's Eat, but she died. They killed her off in season 3, so she's only in season 2. So why would I? Nah, not worth it. Not worth it. So yeah, So Yoon Jin's acting extremely positive, and the music. You have no idea how many times they play what's that song by Ben? Just Like a Dream by Ben. They play that song twice, 3 times in one episode. And yet I can't get sick of it. It's in my K-drama OSTs playlist, And basically all the songs. All the songs are great. So, great music. Next. Chicago Typewriter. As I mentioned, no and everything, but yes with reservations in extremely positive aspect because the concept is really interesting. It's a time period that not a lot of shows talk about, and the the ghost. I barely remember the show. I wrote this comment right after I watched it, so it was probably still fresh to me. But now I don't remember what happened in that show all that much. But yeah, I think the concept is really good and it's probably well done. I just really wasn't into it, or I wasn't in the right headspace or mindset to appreciate it at the time. Okay, next, Chloe. Yes in everything, but yes with reservations in EPA because it's basic. Like it's basic. It's definitely like my number one general recommendation. Like it's a rom-com, it's a little ridiculous. The characters are, it's like wacky situation, but you'll believe in it or you'll care about it because the chemistry is good, the love story is good. It's a basic love story. Yeah. But it's well done. It's like I don't know if it's extremely positive that it's basic, you know? I mean, the chemistry is extremely positive. Maybe I'll change it to yes, the chemistry is the best because binging is inevitable. But okay, moving on. Reply 1988. Yes in everything. Yes with reservations in positive aspect because I cried a lot, right? I was super the emotional impact was real. 13 out of 20, guys. But it was so draggy. And in general it could have been shorter. Sometimes these comments kind of bleed into different criteria. This is like kind of talking about mostly positiveness, but in a way, like I think I put it in extremely positive aspect because some people really loved how long it was, how how much they went into these all these plot lines, these love lines and all that. But for me, it was too draggy. I enjoyed the first half, but then the second half was just a mess for me. Not really a mess, but like yeah, it just could have been shorter. Like it really just could have been shorter. And so like no matter how much of an extreme tearjerker it was to me, no matter how much I felt for it, I couldn't say that. Like in some ways, I just felt like they were dragging it on for the tears or for the love line or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Once again, I wrote this comment and made this like rating back when I watched it, so that was a while ago. Next, startup. Only yes in emotional investment, but in a bad way. But it's kind of yes with reservations in EPA because that's where we discovered Kim Son Ho. He is the extremely positive aspect of this show. Just Kim Son Ho, okay? I will not discuss this any further. Moving on, Strangers from Hell. Yes, only in mostly positive. Like, I could say it's well done for what it is. But also, yes, in EPA because of Im Shiwan, and Lee Dong Wook's acting. Like, that is extremely positive for me. Okay, let's go on to the full no's. Like the ones that just got a no. Doctor Stranger and Love Featuring Marriage and Divorce. Need I explain how terrible these shows are? No, I will not. Okay, another show that I kind of changed it last minute. You can tell it's Run On. It almost got a full no from me. That's how I don't know why. And then I changed it to yes with reservations in mostly positive. Because like when I put it as a full no, and then I saw the shows it was grouped with, it's like okay, it's not as bad as those two. It's kind of mean to put it in that category because it's really not that bad. So I could say that yeah, okay, yes with reservations to the mostly positive aspect because it's pretty. It's pretty. The shot, the editing, it's pretty. And the music is okay. Yeah, it's pretty nice. But the reservations come from the writing, obviously, and like the thing is, uh, I'll just say it. It's really overrated for me and overhyped, and I I know why people like it so much. They say it's the writing. But I didn't like the writing. And so if you're telling me that the writing is the best part of the show and I didn't like the best part of the show, then I'm allowed to say that it's overrated in my opinion, in my standards and stuff. It's kind of well, okay, in a contrast to Reply 1988, which I also consider is overrated. It's overrated. It's overhyped. Like guys, it's a really really good K drama, but I really wouldn't say it's the best K drama out there, and it's not even the best K drama of Shin PD. Like I think genuinely that Shin PD gets better and better with each work. From 97 to 94 to 88 to Prison Playbook has improved a lot of his similar tropes, and I think Hospital Playlist has kind of mastered that. Like, okay, Hospital Playlist tangent, let's go. You'd say like, oh, you say 88 is draggy, but you watch Hospital Playlist that also has, 1.5 hour episodes. Um, the difference is that Hospital Playlist is only has 12 episodes. It's in seasons, and it was planned from the beginning that this is how they were going to this was going to be the format of the show. And so they kind of planned out the pacing really well. Where it's like you get those slice of life, everyday struggles, feels. You go into the stories, the backstories of the main five and their supporting characters and even the patient. Like you get all those like community, the full picture of the community and the warmth of it all. You get all the good from Reply 1988, but it cuts out the bad, which is like the bloat. The it's like it just keeps going on and on, without any direction. Like And the hospital playlist, because they said 1.5 hours, 12 episodes, seasonal, they really planned out the pacing well, so it's not as bloated as 88. Wait, going back to 88, it's overrated, but I get why people like it. People like it because of the warmth, right? Because of the community, because of the families and the friendship. I got it. I cried so much. And so it's overrated, but I was personally able to experience what people loved about it. So it's kind of okay. But run on, like, if you all loved the writing, I'm so sorry. Is not it's not for me. Okay. Okay. Wait, let's take a break. Oh, okay. So next sheet is just my personal rankings. Okay, so I separated this by the year I watched it, 2020 and then 2021. There are separate lists of my rankings of the shows I've watched there. And the shows I particularly liked. Okay, like if I don't like it, why would I put it in the ranking in the first place? So, I separated it in 2020 and 2021. I don't know if I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but like I did that because, my tastes could change. My preferences and like the things I've watched, my viewing experience, all those things could have changed over time as I watched more and more shows and experienced more things or different things in my life. So I want to respect um my mindset or my state of being in 2020, because who I was and how I was in 2020, these are the shows I love. This is how I would rank them. But in 2021, maybe I've changed a bit. Or yeah, because I've watched so many shows, like my tastes have developed. And so I want to separate that, my viewing experience in this year from last year. Essentially, that's why. Okay, so it's split into three big chunks, fives. So 15 to 11 are my honorable mentions. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, okay. 10 to 6 are faves, and 5 to my number one ultimate faves. Did I go through this? Yeah, I went through my ranking in Q1 recap, but let's go through my ranking in 2020. Okay, so this is going from 15 to 1, by the way, so from the bottom to the top. Honorable mentions: Crash Landing on You, The World of the Married, Sky Castle, Doctor Romantic, It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Then faves: Scarlet Heart, Life, Hyena, Stranger, Hot Stove League. And wait, what? Let's change that. No, I'm sorry. Stranger is above Hot Stove League. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Forgive me. Okay. And ultimate faves: It's Okay, That's Love, Do You Like Brahms, My Mister, Hospital Playlist, Missing. There. Those are my top 15 shows of 2020. Okay. Next sheet are ratings. Okay, so basically, I got like the top 50 highest rated cable shows as of December 21, 2020. That's when I made this list. And then, okay, so basically, have I watched it? Yes or no? And if I said no, am I willing to watch it? There. Yes or no? That's pretty self-explanatory. I've watched most of these, actually. I've watched a lot of these. No. Okay. Wait, let me count how many. So, yeah, around 21. I've watched 21 of the highest rated cable shows. But of course, like, the local channels are hard. Oh, my goodness. It's a different world. So I just focus on cable shows. TVN, JTBC, OCN. Okay, next. Okay, here's the spicy part. I have a sheet where I rank actors. I won't say all of the names I put here because obviously I've watched a lot of actors. And just a disclaimer, it's not updated at all. Because I've watched so many shows and so many actors, I couldn't keep track of it anymore. I couldn't. But let me describe the sheet. So first, it's the actor. Then, like, all the shows I've watched where they were the lead or they were part of the main cast. And then another column for when they were in a supporting role, then another column for if I've watched any of their movies. Okay, right? So let me describe the ranking. It's from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. It's kind of like a tier. It's not so much like each individual actor I rank them one by one. Like no, just put them in a tier. Okay, so the first tier, let me describe. I refer to it lovingly as high school skit. Because okay, in my high school, we did a lot of like, snap presentations. The teacher doesn't want to do anything, so they say, okay, practice for 15 minutes. Go to your quadrants in the class. Practice for 15 minutes. You'll present a skit on this topic, and then people just like frantically, who's the leader? Who's gonna write the script? Who's gonna act? Who's gonna make a PowerPoint or prepare music or whatever? It's like just like people, coming up with something in a snap, and then like of course the acting doesn't have to be good because it's a skit you prepared in 15 minutes. So that's what that's the description. Someone who looks like they're acting in a high school skit. Like they don't know what they're doing with their face or their voice. You don't get what their intention is with what they're doing or acting out. Like I'll just give the perfect example. And like the reason why this ranking or like this particular tier was finally defined. Like for so long, I kept thinking, what is, the bottom of the barrel for me? Like what is the worst of the worst that you can be if you're acting? It's Song Hoon in Love Featuring Marriage and Divorce. Because like genuinely all his scenes, he looked like he was trying to be funny. And like I kept wondering, is he trying to be funny? Is he though? I can't tell. I cannot tell if he's trying to be comedic. And so he's just the worst. I'm sorry. He's the worst acting I've ever seen in a K-drama. So congratulations, Song Hoon. You've made it. You have your own category now. Next, rank 2. Doesn't know what to do with their face and their voice, by extension. Because, like, I'm very particular about the intonation and the facial expressions. Like, I'll go into, I distinguish these more in the next ranks. But, like, in this one, it's like, they really don't know what to do with their face. It's like, they're acting. Yeah, it's not as bad as, like, a high school skit. But it's like, I also can't tell the intention. But it's not like, high school skits often try to be funny. They're not trying to be serious or emotional. They're just trying to be funny, just trying to get the point across, in the time limit given. So my point is, rank 2 doesn't know what to do with their face and their voice. I'll just give examples here. Cha Eun-woo. Look, he used to be rank 1 to me. Like, before I defined what rank 1 really was, I thought he was the worst of the worst. But, I mean, he's not good. I was about to say he's not great, but he's good. No, he's not good. But I've watched like one episode of my ID is Gangnam Beauty, and like it was really, really, really just wooden there, right? But he's definitely gotten better in True Beauty. Probably haven't tried to watch Rookie Historian. I wouldn't. So my point is like he's not the worst, but I still feel like he doesn't know what to do with his face sometimes. Like, it doesn't help that his character is very cold, so maybe the character. Okay, another person that I have to mention here is Lee Min-ho. At least in The King Eternal Monarch. I watched the pilot, and it was very distinct to me how I really couldn't get a grasp on his character, like the prince or the king character. Like, is he the cocky kind, or is he like an aloof genius, math genius kind? Is he, the playful king, prince, whatever? Is he playful? Is he arrogant? Is he snobbish? I couldn't tell what his character was supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to be able to tell at least within one episode kind of like who this character is. And even if a character is like, oh, the mysterious character, you could tell that they're being either like mysterious or like they're hiding something or they're pretending to be something. But this one, I couldn't tell. Like, I don't think he was trying to be mysterious. I just couldn't tell if he was supposed to be comedic or mischievous or playful or serious and stern or whatever. I couldn't. In contrast, which is a very unfair comparison, to Kim Go-eun in the same episode, who, she's a cop, right? She's a detective, and she was trying to lure some criminal out, and she was being very excessive with her movements and stuff. Like, I could tell that this doesn't feel like this doesn't feel like she's being genuine. It feels like her character is pretending to be something. The nuance of this girl, she did so well in that scene. Just that one scene, I was totally like reassured that, okay, Kim Go-eun's really good at acting. I love her so much. Anyway, so those are my two examples for rank 2. Doesn't know what to do with their face. Okay, rank 3 and kind of onwards, I won't really go through all the people, because most of them fall, from ranks 3 to 6. Rank 3, defined as table read intonation, lacks expressions. Pretty self-explanatory. It sounds like they're just reading off the script, and they can't express much. Rank 4, table read intonation, lacks expressions, but can show emotions. Do you get it? Look, the bad end of the ranking is a little blurry to me, honestly. But yeah, can show some emotion, like I can see it, but their expression, they tend to have like, 3 to 4 expressions. That's just how it is. Okay, rank 5, varies in intonation, expression is still lacking. How do I explain this? Most of like the average people, or like the semi-decent people, are in rank 5. Like, okay, whatever, I don't expect too much from you, but you're okay. Rank 6, average for their age/experience, varies in tone and expression but lacks range. So they probably tend to play the same character, or they tend to play different characters the same way, but not in a glaring, like, from a psychopath to the friendly dorky nerd in the office, and they play it the same way. Like, not with those kind of intense character gaps, but if it's a normal human being, and they tend to play it the same way, essentially lacks range. Okay, 7 is where it starts getting good. Okay, so 7 is average to above average, has variety in tone and expression, and has good range. Like, I've seen them play really different characters, and they did pretty well, but I wouldn't put them as like, damn, you're really good. Or like, I think you're good, but I wouldn't call you one of my favorite actors. I'm waiting for you to be one of my favorite actors. Okay, first, IU. I love IU, my mister, of course, Lee Ji-an. Hotel de Luna, she was pretty good. The producers, she was also pretty good. Scarlet Heart? I don't, that show, it's just a fluke. I don't know what that was. I love the show though. I love it, but though I would really say that she is average to above average. Like, she portrays different characters very differently, and she's really grown as an actress. Like, even, yeah, would I say the way she speaks is different? Yeah. I'm rewatching My Mister right now, so yes, I could say, like, even if, Hotel de Luna, no. Okay, Hotel de Luna and the producers, like, they tend to be cold, fabulous characters. She didn't play it the same way. Like, I could tell that Manuel had an edge to her. Meanwhile, Cindy was just like a really broken girl. Lee Ji-an is also a broken girl, but obviously she didn't play that the same way as Cindy. And, Heisu. But Heisu also became a broken girl at some point. So yeah, she did it. She did all those characters well and differently, and did them well. Another actor in rank 7, Lee Kyu-young, who's loony. He was Sunwoo in Life. He was what's his name in Hi Bye Mama. Oh, I love him. He's really good. Like, of course, those characters are all miles apart, but he did perfectly well in all of them. So, love him. Next rank, 8. Above average to good. has variety in tone and expression, good range, great in one role, and I'm waiting for one more great role to just bump them up to a 9. Okay, 1, So Yoonjun. I okay, maybe I should take back the good range. Like, she doesn't have that much range. She's kind of like Gong Hyojin. I mentioned this. Like, she acts the same way often. And so, she has like these mannerisms, the way she speaks, the way her expressions, they're very similar in all her roles, but they're just so good. She's just so good at what she does. Like, sometimes that's just her style, I guess. Not everyone is a chameleon, I guess. There. Not everyone is a chameleon, but what she does it super, super well. Another one, Park Eun Bin, my girl. I think what I love about her acting is like her aura completely changed. From we watched her in, of course, Do You Like Brahms? Chae Songa, very meek girl with some quiet strength to her. And then suddenly we watched her in Hot Stove League, and it's like, it genuinely didn't feel like the same person. It's not just the hair or the personality or the character. Like, it's just the aura of the person. Oh, I haven't updated this list. I would add John Yo Bin to this character. To this rank. She's an 8 to me. Like, her character in Be Melodramatic to, Hong Chae-yong in Vincenzo, like, completely different. The aura is completely different. Wow. It's just mind-blowing. There, that's something that's difficult to explain. The aura of an actor as they're portraying different roles. Like, how do you change, from the inside out? The energy that you exude. Like, how do you change that? That's fascinating to me. Okay, next rank 9. Great range, like just a chameleonic actor or actress, or good range, but just so excellent in one role that it just blows my mind how you delivered that character so well. So I'll go through the chameleons. Cho Sung-woo. Cho Sung-woo is obviously a chameleon. Like, I mean, you could say Wang Shimok and, Gu Song-yeol are that different. They are different. And then there's Goni. There's Goni in Taza, and like Hantay Sun, Sisyphus, whatever. We don't talk about that show, but yeah, he's a chameleon. He can portray all the characters. I swear he can. Another chameleonic actor for me, Kim Go-eun. I watched her in Cheese in the Trap, Goblin, and Tune In for Love, the movie. Wait. I watched her in something else, I swear. Okay, apparently not. But even with just those 2 roles, those 3 roles actually, she's the like, for me, she changes her aura completely. The way she speaks, the way she expresses herself, like, I wouldn't say she was exceptional as Hong Sol or as whatever her goblin girl's name is. I wouldn't say those are exceptional roles. But the fact that she just completely changed as a person is really amazing to me. And like, I want to watch more of her movies because she does dark things too. Yeah. I know she's great. Chameleonic character. Kim Yesu. She's amazing. Like, really, I love her so much. Watched her in Signal, Hyena. I watched her in Taza. I think I've watched another one of her movies. I forgot which one. But Kim Yesu. I mean, what would you say that Jung Gumja and Detective Cha are in any way similar? No, no. She's crazy good. I love Kim Yesu. Chameleon, Lee Byung Hun. Need I say more? I mean, Mr. Sunshine, exceptional. I watched some of his movies. Like, yeah, he does seem like a completely different person each time. It's great. I love him. Okay. The other ones that I wouldn't say are chameleonic, maybe because I haven't watched enough, or like their aura didn't change as much. Okay, fine. Im Shi-wan. Loved him as Jangore in Missing, obviously. Loved him in Strangers from Hell as well. And then I watched some of his movies. Like, I watched The Merciless. I watched him in The Attorney. Like, okay, maybe in a way he does change his aura. He can change his voice and the way he speaks as well. Good expressions. Like, yeah. I guess, yeah, he is a bit chameleonic. But I don't know, man. Run On kind of lowered his stock for me. But maybe that was the right thing. I think they just tried their best. It was just the right thing. I'm trying not to blame him because I love him so much. Next, Kang Hanul. Kang Hanul! Right. Would I say he's chameleonic? I don't know. Yeah, he is. I mean, what? Zhang Beiki. You know, Zhang Beiki. And then, When the Camellia Blooms, Wang Yongshik. And then, in Scarlet Heart, Wang Wook. In 20, and I watched so many of his movies. Forgotten, Midnight Runners, New Trial, 20. I'm going to watch Dongju, Portrait of a Poet soon. And then, of course, we should all watch Rain in Your Story, his movie with Chun Woo-hee, coming soon. Somehow I'll find a way to watch that. In a way, he has really, really great range. He portrayed all of those characters differently, changed the way he spoke, the way he expressed himself, everything. Perfect, amazing, lovely. Next. Okay, here. Kim Soo-yoon. His performance in It's Okay to Not Be Okay, mind-blowing. Look, if he doesn't win Best Actor, I don't know anymore. I don't know where it's going to go if it doesn't go to him. He deserves the world for that performance. And like, okay, I don't know. He's not as good at like changing his voice and stuff. But like, and even the way he acts, like the producers. It was comedic there. It was a lighter role. I haven't watched his movies yet. I will soon. I don't know. I just love his acting so much. He's so good. See, I mentioned there, good range, but really just excellent performance in one role. And Gangtae was that one. Similarly, Oh Jung-se. Haven't watched enough of his shows. Like, only saw him, in like Hot Stove Leave, Camellia, It's Okay to Not Be Okay, and then like supporting roles in The Call, Extreme Job, he was there. But It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Like, just to portray Sangtae like that is just beyond. Like their scenes together, him and Kim Soo-yoon, just got nothing to say. I just cannot. No words to explain how amazing he is in that one role. And okay, so there's a last rank 10, which is described as everything they touch is gold. They can make the worst character / show amazing. And honestly, I had hope that Cho Sung-woo would be the rank 10. Like, he is going to be the rank 10. But alas, he's in Sisyphus. And his acting cannot save that terrible show. And now I'm starting to think that, maybe rank 10 is impossible. Maybe no one can save a show just by their acting. Because, a show or a movie is the sum of its parts. It's important that everything is cohesive and everything is good. And it's hard to pin, the burden of making something good just someone's acting. Like, if he were a rank 10, a true rank 10, then I would say, like, Sisyphus is bearable, is really bearable. Or like, I could still enjoy it just to watch him. And I cannot say that. I do not even watch him anymore. Because there's a love line. It disgusts me and I hate it. I hate Sisyphus, the worst. I really wish they could spend some of their extra cash to, pay me for the 16 hours plus more than that I wasted on this show, trying to understand, trying to like it for my love for Cho Sung-woo. But alas. Okay. So those are the rankings. Look, I can't act, right? So you say, like if one of my faves are in the bottom tier, and a lot of them are, I just didn't mention them, you could say, like, well, what right do you have to have these opinions to say that someone is a bad actor or not? And to that I say, I have no right. I only have opinions. I use my eyes and my ears and my heart and my brain to judge what I see. And so, like, you know what? I have no right to say anything. If the only way to have an opinion is to have authority or experience on it, then what, you're saying you're an actor or you're a scriptwriter or a director as well? Huh? You're saying that you have the authority or the experience? No, you just have your own opinions and I have mine. And so what if mine are negative most of the time? What can I do? I'm very critical. So yeah, these are just my opinions. I don't know why I have to keep saying that to people. But yeah, we're all allowed to have our opinions, whether or not we really have like the experience or the authority to have them in the first place, apparently. Okay, last sheet. Oh my goodness, this okay. Last sheet is the recast sheet. Because every time my sister and I say we don't like an actor in a certain role, we have a list of actors to choose from to replace them, the recast. So we split them up based on like not just age, but also the vibe of their age. Okay, so first is the before military males. So they're too young. There's just something changes in someone when they after they go to the military. So the young ones. Next category, the early 30s. Feels young, but it's kind of old. Pretty self-explanatory. So it's not necessarily their age that they really are in the early 30s. Like, what am I gonna do with someone who's 35? Where are they gonna fit in? but the early 30s and late 30s, kind of by feel. Late 30s described as old, but doesn't feel that old. Like I could still call you an oppa and not an ajushi. You know? And last category, the ajushis, which is described as dads slash can be dads. So yeah. Lee Joon-gi has now played the dad role, so he's officially an ajushi. I don't really want to go through this, but just the feeling of how old they are, not necessarily how old they actually are. And that's it. That's it. That's the whole spreadsheet. This episode is insanely long. Insanely long for some reason, even when I said this wasn't scripted. Which it wasn't, which is why we ended up here. Okay. So before we end this, finally, look. You may ask me, how do I judge K-dramas? And then I gave you my entire, like, the criteria and the ranking and, even how I judge actors. Like, you may tell me, like, why do you have so many opinions? Why can't you just enjoy things? And so I would like to throw it back to you and think, like, why don't you judge things? Why don't you have opinions? Don't you think I want to be a mindless consumer and just enjoy things or not enjoy things and then not watch them if I'm not enjoying them? Like, don't you think I want to live my life simply like that? But that's not how it is. And like all my life, really, most of my life watching Western shows and anime or whatever, most of the time I'm just a mindless consumer. My only opinion is, do I like something or not? And then I stop watching if I don't like something. I don't aim to learn from it. I don't aim to, hone, to change my perspective or to figure out why I have this certain perspective or opinion in the first place. I just mindlessly consume media before. But now I want to go through that. I want to analyze things, to criticize things, to analyze myself in the process, to figure out what I like and what I don't, to figure out what resonates with me or what irritates me. I don't want to be a mindless consumer of media anymore. And that's why I have so many opinions. That's literally why I have a podcast. So yeah, like having thoughts about what I'm watching makes me feel like I'm actually learning about the world and about myself. Like instead of just, you could say like, gosh, you are really wasting your life away. Your brain is rotting because of all these shows you're watching, blah, blah, blah. And so what if I tell you I have a podcast? What if I tell you I think about the things I'm watching and I really analyze everything that my little tiny pea brain can so that, I can actually learn from this massive time waster that is in my life. Can you really say that I'm wasting my time if I'm just trying to be a better person and a better consumer of media through it, you know? Yeah. So essentially, it's just me defending being opinionated and spending most of my time watching K dramas. That's pretty much what this episode was all about. So, oh my goodness, I'll shut up. Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's episode. It was a lot. I'm very sorry. But yeah, thank you so much. Hope you somehow enjoyed that. I hope. That's it for me today. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon.